What's up, everybody out there, and welcome to another episode of Inside the War Room, brought to you by your homies at War Room Sports. I'm your man, Dev McMillan, and I'm here with my partners in crime. We got Jimmy the Blueprint in the building. What up, Jim?
Yo, what's up, folks? How y'all?
And we got B. Austin, the HBC, in the building.
Howard University legend and local celebrity.
You know.
Vice, bitch.
You know. All right, so look, man, we're here to talk for a little while about this. I guess you can call it a historical occurrence. 5-star prospect, number 17th ranked basketball player in the 2020 class, Makur Maker. That's the last time I'm going to try to say his whole name. From henceforth, he will be known as either Maker, Thon's little cousin, or Lil Daddy. So, Maker, he defied all odds by.
Yo, why you do all that and just don't call him Maker Maker?
I don't know. I was trying to show the brother some respect. He showed us some respect. I'm trying to show him some respect. Anyway, man, he signed with Howard University. This may have been something in the making. He talked about it about a year ago. He said that he was putting Howard University on his list. A few days ago, his list kind of got cut down to the top 10, and Howard was still involved. He even took a visit with Howard University during last year's homecoming, which, you know, if you've been to Howard's homecoming, that pretty much sums it up right there.
That did it.
But anyway, 2 days ago, he went down to his Final Four, which included UCLA, Memphis, was it Kentucky, and Howard. And to a lot of people's surprise, he chose Howard University of the Mideastern Atlantic Conference. As you all know, Howard University, our alma mater, me and B, is an historically Black college and university. That's the big deal in all of this. If you guys know anything about War Room Sports, if you listen to the War Room, which we've done every Thursday for the past 9.5 years, we've made a lot of noise on this front, a lot of what ifs. Some of these high prospect college athletes, basketball and football, were to one day, somebody put themselves out there and try to flip this narrative and get the influx of high prospects coming back to HBCUs where a lot of us think, they belong. Fellas, what were your thoughts when this whole thing went down? Because for me, even though I'm a Howard alum, I think this is way bigger than Howard University itself. There's a lot of HU people that's celebrating what's happening, and they have the right to do so. But I think this is much bigger than Howard University itself. It goes to that narrative that we've talked about for almost 10 years. Thoughts?
I'm excited. Salute to our brother JW, because he's an HBCU alum as well. And this is really all about equity, man. Grabbing equity, right? So since the integration of collegiate sports, your major colleges and universities have had a prime run on all of the Black talent in basketball, football, track and field, you name it, they're going to major conferences and major colleges. We all know what a cash cow and a moneymaker that NCAA basketball is. And so to have, a 5-star recruit commit to Howard University or commit to any HBCU, I mean, the implications are huge. All I want to know is where Mikey Williams is going, though, because if he does it, praises be to Allah.
Yeah, I keep. Well, go ahead. I'll let Jimmy say what he got to say, and then we'll get on the whole Mikey Williams thing. But
yeah, Mikey Williams, like 12 years old. He in like 7th grade, so
right.
Who knows where he's going right now. But salute to everybody, right? From HU. I'm like a unofficial HU graduate, just because like you guys, and and also brother Kill. It was funny though, because a lot of y'all classmates be fraud, and they be like adding me on social media and tell me they remember me from such and such class, and I didn't go there. You know,
To
you know what I mean?
truthful,
So
though, every time somebody from the crib visited me, they did come to class with me, and a couple of times
that's true. I might have, yeah.
my professor would play me
I
out
might have
too.
walked in the class with them.
I know one time I came into class at least 6 deep. Probably it was the twins, Walt. I don't know, Jimmy. You might have been there that time, but I know the teacher.
Maybe, yeah, that might have happened. That might have happened, but some of them be fraud. But they're like, yeah, man, you might.
If you met a young lady,
it's
if you met a young lady on campus and something happened, then you HU alum, man.
No, but B, professor hit me with the.
We ain't getting into that. You ignoring that one.
You finally decide to come to class, and then you bring folks with you. I was like, I didn't even know what to say. Like, go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
No, what I was saying is though, like, so shout out to y'all, but I did attend another HBCU, the one that Thurgood Marshall, Langston Hughes, and Cab Calloway went to, and I'm saying that because I want y'all to do y'all research, as opposed to just giving you a school. Go look that up because I want people to start doing research. That's my new objective now, is to start people to do research, because we don't do research. But anyway, I thought this was amazing. We do talk about this a lot. If we're being honest, right, we don't know what this actually means, because who knows even what basketball looks like with everything going on in the world. But I think that just saying this holds power, because now if you're on social media and you see some of the younger players, they're starting to have these conversations in the past where they weren't even having these conversations. And now you see all kinds of other stories, football players, other basketball players, some transferred. I mean, some of them got kicked out of their previous school. But even in the past, though, you got kicked out of your previous school, you wouldn't go to an HBCU. You would go to a lower level D1 PWI.
Mid-major.
So I think that this is
go to a mid-major.
Yeah. So this is, and then also it's also smart on his behalf, right? Because this dude has like an entire race, with the exception of Jason Whitlock, rooting for him, and also regardless of how things play out for him,
country and Africa.
if he starts, that too. If he starts to this trend of people making this move, he's going to put his name in the books, regardless of how his career actually plays out. You know what I mean? He'd be like, Kurt Flood or what have you. Like, Kurt Flood is always remembered, and no one really even talks about what Kurt Flood did on the field. But so I think this is big. It can be big, because the fact of the matter is, a lot of these guys are only playing 1 year anyway. So, like, why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not?
Jimmy, how is this
outside of the fact you can't get the big bag?
Jimmy, how is this going to impact the effect of Toots and Myra's and how they interact with our athletes, being as if they were at an HBCU? What does that do for the Toot and Myra game and IG models?
I mean, the Toot and Myra game, I always thought about the Toot and Myra game. Like, if you're an elite level athlete like that, then, going to an HBCU is just going to be amazing for you in terms of the Toot and Myra game. And if you guys don't know what Toots and Myras are, you should pick up Sports the Book at warroomsports.com. But anyway, because we ain't going to explain what that means, but you can have your choice of Toots and Myras, but you have Toots and Myras that look like you.
Right, which is a better thing. But listen, because B. Austin brought up Mikey Williams. I saw a lot of that yesterday. Everybody was like, Mikey Williams is up next or something like that. I just want to remind people, and I know a lot of people know by now, because, the conversation has spread throughout, the internet. Mikey Williams has made the most noise about this topic recently, but Mikey Williams is a part of the class of 2023. So there's no telling if Mikey Williams will ever even step foot on a collegiate floor, considering this time last year, the commissioner was telling us that the one and done rule is pretty much on its way out the door. Now, there has been some updates to that. Now some pundits are thinking that it's a possibility that it may stick around, because people have found a new way, a new path to the NBA. And we're not talking about the overseas path that some people are taking. Some people are electing to go to the G League first. And if the NBA can get people to go through their minor league system, then they might keep the rule that, you might have to do at least 1 year somewhere before you come to the NBA. So that's the only thing that's given any hope to 2022 prospects, 2023 prospects, not jumping directly to the NBA. But my thing is, if we've all wanted this for so long and we're hype about Mikey Williams being the next up, like that's too big of a gap, in my opinion. This is 2020.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? We need some people, we need this to start trickling now. Shout out to Mikey Williams.
We're talking to you, Jalen Green.
Shout out to Mikey Williams because he has, he's made a lot of noise about this lately. His mom is Hampton alum. Shout out to my homies from the other HU. It's a situation where
I was waiting for one of y'all to say it.
It's a situation for me though. I still, even if he never steps foot on a collegiate floor, and even if Mikey Williams doesn't turn out to be what Mikey Williams is right now as a youngin' in high school, the noise that he's making is making people listen. I actually think Mikey Williams's noise might have been the reason, or at least one of the reasons that Maker decided to, make that commitment. He talked about it last year, like I said, but Mikey Williams had started to get all the press lately because he was making all this noise about changing the world, shocking the world. And Maker jumped in like, all right, let me go and make this decision. You can see in his wording. Let me read his wording. He was like, quote, "I was the first to announce my visit to Howard and others started to dream what if. I need to make the HBCU movement real so others will follow. I hope I inspire guys like Mikey Williams to join me on this journey. I'm committing to Howard U and Coach Kenny Blakely." So it kind of felt like Maker was like, hold up, I started that gangster-ish, and this is the thanks I get. Like, so he made it real because I'm thinking he's figuring somebody else is starting to get all of this press. Let me go ahead and make history and actually do it. And then these guys will have to follow me. He even put the guy's name in his commitment announcement. So we're gonna talk about
young boy.
Shout out to Mikey.
Shout out to him. We gonna have to talk real sports. I mean, listen, we know it's not the right thing, but Puff, aka Diddy, we got to get our booster game up, man. Like these young men can't be coming here just for the basketball, the DMV nightlife. Like, what's the booster money gonna look like? How are we gonna take care of these?
But you know what though? It's not just Diddy though. It's shit. I mean, it's you too. It's all of us, right? Because I saw a brother who is a professional.
Damn, Jim try hold us accountable.
Be you
no, because that's what it's about though. But he did a whole piece. He did like a whole live or something. He was talking about how it's more than just like, what happens in terms of the arenas and all that. I'll play a major part in what happens at each school. And that's one of the things that we don't have that conversation. We talk about they should go here, they don't go there, but how the boosters play a part in that. So, I mean, if you look at our HBCUs, and I don't want to, turn this too political in terms of how they struggle just in raising capital from their graduates. It's a complete difference from the HBCUs versus the PWIs, and especially when you start to go to the Ivies. The difference is, it's not that we don't have graduates. Most Black professionals still to this day come from HBCUs, but we have to talk more about what do we give back to our HBCUs? How do we pay it forward? So,
give back.
Yeah,
and,
so that's a whole other conversation. But even within sports, with the boosters, that's something that has to be talked about.
That's also the other side of this whole thing, though, because a lot of HBCUs, they pride themselves on education. And what the PWIs have been doing with these high prospects for decades is something that I don't know if a lot of these HBCUs, namely Howard University, is going to be willing to do, like push kids through when they're not really learning anything, not really getting the grades and things of that matter. I'm not saying that this is anything that has to do with this young man, because I don't hear those type of things about him. But if you start to do this and a big influx of these players do change that narrative and start going through the HBCU system, even though most of them will probably be on the one and done plan, but it doesn't only have to be those guys. It doesn't only have to be 5-star guys. The fact that 5-star guys are starting might start to make that decision, then you got the 4-star guys, you got the 3-star guys as well that might come through. Those guys won't be candidates for one and done or straight to NBA if they change that rule back.
That's how you build your team.
Exactly. So if you start to have even those type of recruits and they come through, I don't think a lot of these HBCUs are going to be willing to just push these guys through the academic system without them actually earning anything. I'm pretty sure they're not going to make it super tough on them, but that's just not what most.
I like that. I like that if HBCUs can strike a balance.
Y'all got to come here and do homework, man.
Let's assume that this wave is more than just a fad, and it does turn into a bit of a wave. Like if HBCUs can hold up and stand by, from an integrity standpoint, making these kids put something into themselves academically, and at the same time, right? So let's not delude ourselves. If a young man has an opportunity to make millions and millions of money by playing his sport, like I think that needs to be pushed as a part of the foundation. But on the flip side to that, like make these kids go to class, make them learn something, have them understand the historical context of what historically Black colleges and universities mean in the United States of America. And then, the other conversation is once these Black athletes, if they are to start going to HBCUs, then what will the push from the PWI and NCAA be to, continue the shutdown of HBCUs? That's a whole nother conversation and topic.
Better cars and houses.
They're gonna make it legal. We can give them up to $1 million.
That's why this entire time
they're gonna go from like Camrys to Bentleys. And they're gonna get desperate out there.
It's why this entire time that we've been having these discussions about our rights and what we want. That's why I've always talked about power, equity, and ownership, right? Because it's not just about tangible things. It's about us recognizing our power. So, and you see a shift in culture with this too. When you talk about what LeBron is doing with his team, with some of our celebrity culture, what some of the people are doing, as opposed to just taking checks now, people are asking for equity. Whether we're talking about Oprah, Jay-Z, Beyonce, LeBron and his squad, whoever it may be, but that shift, so a lot of times we say we shouldn't be paying attention to entertainers, but we're also not being honest if we're not saying that they make a difference. But you're seeing a shift in culture because the fact of the matter is.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Beyonce.
No, I was going to say, to your point, not even to cut you off, Melo and Chris Paul are leading a charge within the NBA to support HBCUs and kids going to those HBCUs. They're influential, even though they went to PWIs, but that's to your point. They're a part of that push to say, consider HBCUs as an option.
Right.
Because what we're recognizing is and Mikey Williams, I don't know if Mikey Williams got somebody behind him, but Mikey Williams be talking that talk, I like young boy. And I don't even know if he could ball.
First of all, cocky.
But one of the things he said is,
and that's
one of the things he said on his Twitter, he was like, he said, we hold the power. Where we go is where it's going to be. Like he said that. These are his words.
I mean, it just shows
but he's right.
He and strong parents who are putting that in his head.
Also, he got
right. He knows,
and it's true. You hold the power, so it's more of a partnership. It's kind of what the NBA recognized too. So, and shout out to Naj, who's a loyal listener of our podcast on Thursdays. He brought up a point that with the NBA at this point is a partnership. Mm-hmm. So even when people criticize the NBA, this is happening, the players, 50% of that is them. This is a true partnership at this point. And what he recognized in the collegiate game, the players hold the power. If we all decide to go to one school, that's where the power is going to lie. We don't have. He actually named names. He was like, Coach K didn't got the power. He actually put Coach K's name in a tweet. I was like, this young boy Mikey is a little arrogant with it. But
Mike, even if Mikey,
we got to protect Mikey Williams, yo.
Hashtag protect Mikey.
If Mikey Williams gets to a point in his basketball development, like I said, and if they change those rules, then he might not ever be one of those
Whoa, the Matrix got him.
Yeah, but
Yeah, he might not ever be.
He's saying
he might not ever be one of those kids that actually goes
superstar
to college or set foot on a campus. He may skip that and go right to the league, or hey, 2 years in a kid's development is crazy, right? So he could fall off a cliff.
But here's my question to you. Here's my question to you, B. Austin. My question is, let's say for argument's sake that he doesn't become like that superstar athlete that we're saying. What he's doing in terms of this conversation, even how he kind of held other boys' feet to the fire, wouldn't that like still make him important to everything that's going on? So. Like it don't even matter. It don't even matter necessarily that
to your point, in a vacuum,
and that's the beauty of it.
In a vacuum, the power that he holds now, even at 16 years old, being an influencer, being social media, like what we live in today, he's already powerful and he's already sparking a conversation. So where he ends up or what he ends up being, I'm not going to say it's immaterial to the conversation, but it's not the biggest component of what he's doing right now, to your point. Absolutely.
Like, dude, listen, we're sitting here talking about a ninth grader. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can hear you. You good now. Yeah, we sitting here talking about a ninth grader.
16, man.
Yo, think about that.
Is he 16?
Yeah, he's 16.
Okay. I'm like,
I thought he was a 10th grader.
Must have reclassified.
Jimmy had him in the class with Diamond.
No, I'm drawing. I'm being sarcastic. I'm doing what you do when you talk about Zion. I'm just being a smart ass. But the fact of the matter is, how often do we even talk about high school players at all? Like, we don't. So that goes to show you that he's had an influence already. And the point I was making about just power and equity, like when we realize that labor is power, right? Even though in this construct we're the labor, we're still not ownership, which is problematic. We can tackle that on a different front, but labor is still power, because no one's coming to see Coach K or Coach Calipari. They're just not. They're coming to see these players. So when you recognize that, and then you can hold that and say, I'm going to go to this to help build up institutions that were made to educate my folk. It's power in that. And this is us recognizing our power and not asking for it, but taking it, man. Like,
that's so amazing.
And that also goes to the conversation. All right, so it goes to the conversation of reparations. Now, how did I get the reparations? Because labor has value, right?
Right.
And because this country was built on our backs, it's a value associated with that. So give us our check. I'm not going too far into that, but now this is just an exercise of labor showing that they are power.
But listen,
if you don't go first and get your bars off, if you don't go first and get your bars off, one of these brothers is gonna get their I was going straight, man. I was going straight to labor. The labor conversation in the context of reparations is how you defeat any opposition to reparations. Never mind the internal conversation of can we handle those reparations and what that means, but the external conversation facing other groups of people, the labor piece justifies reparations across the board. And tying that in to basketball, this is a step even in that direction, because for decades and decades and decades, Black athletes have been the labor force driving the revenue of NCAA, period, point blank.
Yeah.
Whether it's basketball or football or track.
All right, let me, I want to give you fellas a couple of facts about Maker and
Maker.
Then we got to do what we got to do here. I'm gonna ask a couple of questions.
You are?
Yeah. So I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know where the Matrix again. Like,
I don't know where
he might be getting ready to say something.
Before we do have to ask questions.
Yeah,
for the other side.
Dev, we ain't hear nothing you just said, bro.
We ain't nothing you said. Yo, the powers that be came and grabbed you and threw you in the bag for about 20
seconds. Am I frozen, or you just can't hear me?
Nah,
no, you went in the Matrix. I thought
Andy
I said,
Andy
he's getting ready
knows
to say
what you're about to say, man.
Yo, no, it's COINTELPRO, man. COINTELPRO.
COINTELPRO.
All right, I'm gonna have to go to the.
Why you good though? Just tell us what you're gonna say. You cool now? What was you about to ask?
Yeah,
Well, I was saying that the kid gets it. Like he's saying he's going to exclusively explain his commitment to Howard on ESPN on a day of great importance to him, which is July 9th. That's the South Sudan Independence Day. So it's like not just as he, trying to start this movement here in America for American young Black people, but he's keeping his homeland in mind and all that kind of stuff. Also, at the same time, his guardian, I think his name is Ed Smith, he was saying a lot of people are comfortable with familiarity. He was like, kids could say, I would feel welcome that I'm not just an athlete, I'm part of a community. And he said when he visited Howard, that was the main difference. And that's why, he made that choice, because it was just for Ed Smith from the outside looking in, he seemed like he was a part of the fabric. You're not just an athlete or just a Black athlete. So on the
hashtag more than an athlete.
Right. So, but on the devil's advocate side of things, okay, because these are questions that came up in conversations that I was having. So, we're going to air them out here. Some people were saying, okay, this is all great, but what if, look at COVID-19 right now. What if he chose this school with a gym that holds 2,700 over these gyms that holds 27,000, because you're realizing, one, there might not be a season in the first place, and two, even if there is a season, there might not be any fans, so it really doesn't matter the atmosphere that you play in. I would argue that being a graduate of Howard, that 2,700, that atmosphere is still a little different than anything.
It's a little different
that I've ever witnessed.
It's nothing like
right.
It's nothing like.
We also know
any HBCU sporting event.
Right.
First of all, our band name is on another level. Never mind. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, we also know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dad.
Television coverage will come. ESPN, they're fame whores. If you got somebody somewhere, even if ESPN doesn't think they should be there, they're going to take their asses, their camera crews, their camera truck, the production trucks, they're going to go.
Maker could play in Luanda, Angola, and ESPN.
they're going to find a way to get it on TV. But this is such a big story that, they're going to be there regardless of what happens. Whether there's fans there or not, ESPN is going to be in the building. So what do you guys say to that kind of thing when people are saying, well, maybe he made this decision because it's easy to make right now because of everything that's going on in the world? Like I said, one, there might not be a season, and two, if there is a season, there might not be any fans anyway. So if you're going to do something, you can do this, look like you're making history, and your intentions not be what we all think they are.
Perception.
Everybody watching, at this point, we are reading things. I mean, we are bringing up things that we heard in conversation.
Perception is reality, right? So if there's not a season, then we can revisit this when the bull transfers out or never plays. But if he plays, and deep down inside, he told his homie, the caretaker, like, look, man, I ain't going to no big joint. I'm going to go, because we can play. The perception is already out there that he's committed to the Black Power movement and the move to HBCU. It's already out there. So now it snowballs. So we good. And shout out to my African brothers and sisters, because they take Howard more serious than we do sometimes. But go ahead, JW.
Listen, my answer is, shut up. Because the fact of the matter is, whether he plays or not, like, just him doing this, what he's done thus far is actually, it's having us have this conversation, but we're not the only ones. And people I've seen, like, believe it or not, that were like, didn't know what an HBCU was, didn't know what a Howard, Hampton, Lincoln, Cheney, Norfolk, they don't even know what the HBCUs are, or that it's a thing. So I've seen the conversations that even stands for. Yeah, like I've seen people like Dev said who want to try to like poop on this, but I've also seen other people like starting to have conversations about HBCUs, their history. So whatever happens doesn't matter. He's putting this conversation. Yeah, exactly. He's making this conversation happen.
I've seen a lot of people.
The motivation is immaterial, man. It almost. I'm not gonna say it's completely immaterial, but perception is reality. It's like, when I was rocking the locks, I was perceived as a very spiritual and grounded brother who was in touch with his African roots. The reality is, I knew going to Howard University with locks, I was gonna get the handshake. That's what it was.
You gotta be real with him, yo.
No, but keep it 100.
Yeah, keep it 100. But listen, I've seen, and I know because we talked about it in our group chat. I know a lot of you guys have seen as well. There's been a lot of white people on social media big mad about this. Like big mad about this. I'm like,
of course.
Like I don't understand. Like, first of all,
how don't you understand?
I mean, I do understand. You're right. I do understand. But damn, it's like crazy.
It's freedom. They're leaving the plantation.
It's crazy that it makes you mad that somebody wants to support their own. It's so crazy that's.
Jimmy, go ahead. Tell him, man. Tell him, man.
Why ask why?
Not even that. You're changing their system. Like, this goes against their system. This is anything that shifts power away from, like, never mind right or wrong, but anything that shifts power away from someone that has had power, privilege, and control, they're gonna feel a type of way about. I feel a type of way about,
Yeah, I feel you. What did we say?
Listen, but also they feel as though they walk around the earth like they own it. They feel like they own and control. They feel like they own and control. So they feel like they can tell you where you should go, why you should be there. You know what I'm saying? You can't even put a fence up in your yard without them questioning why you want to do it.
And why it's and why it's racist to go to HBCU in the first place. And now why Maker is probably a racist because he wants to play for one. Not realizing the history, like racism was the reason that HBCUs exist in the first place. You can't tell us now that we're going to our own schools that we're racist for it. All right, man. But shout out to the kid because, like I said, he seems, from everything that he said from the start of this, he seems to get it. He also seems like he didn't want Mikey to steal his shine. Shout out to him for that. Like, hold on, y'all gotta remember, I said this first. But he did it. So we'll see if this starts a mini movement, if it starts a big movement, anything. We'll just,
Carmelo, Chris Paul, put that bread behind these young bulls, man.
Right. I mean, and then all the dudes that you're talking about have young bulls of their own. So,
Bronny,
where Bronny gonna go? Where Bronny
going to
Bronny going to Duke. Like, that's
Bronny going to the NBA.
Bron might have a college by the time in a couple years. So he might go to James University.
Inaccurate.
I mean, Bronny already got representation. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
right.
So we're gonna see where he goes. It's gonna be clutch to see where he goes. So
I see what you did there.
All right, man. So we're gonna get out of here. It's gonna be a lot of conversation surrounding this. So, if you guys want to add to the conversation, just make sure you hit up the comment section because we will comment back. We're going to have this conversation with you. Wherever you see it, post it, comment. We're going to be there to have the conversation. I mean, if you want to tell us that we're assholes and everything we said was wrong, tell us that too.
We with that.
Most likely I'll argue.
Protect Mikey.
Jimmy not going to give you the time of day, but I'll argue with you. So like, this is great, man. Like I said, this is something that we've been screaming about for the past 9.5 years, countless amount of times on all of our platforms. And it's great to see somebody finally step out there, put themselves out there for an example for other young brothers and sisters to see. We're going to see how it works out, man. I'm hoping it works out the way that, we envisioned it or we imagined it, because even though we envisioned and imagined it, it was still always difficult to actually fathom one of these kids having the heart to do it. Because when you're this young, you make the decisions that you see. Like, you see big universities with a lot of money, with big arenas and boosters and a lot of camera time. And you really can't blame kids for not wanting to put the struggle on their back to be the ones. So it was always hard for me to
not mentioning
but kudos.
Not mentioning the checks they get, because
right.
if we want to keep it a beam, we ain't gonna mention the checks they get.
We need them. Diddy, we need them checks. Maker, if you'd have been there in '99, then I think that the brother Devin and I would have taken tryouts a lot more serious.
All right, man. So y'all got any final thoughts, man, before we get out of here?
Protect Mikey Williams.
Man, 2024. Let's leave it at that. Yo, let's leave it at that. Yo, protect Mikey. Yo.
We're definitely gonna leave it at that. So, like I said, just say whatever you guys say in the comment. Let's talk about it. Check out everything we're doing over at warroomsports.com. Just take your time, browse through the website. Give us a minute. We write, we do podcasts. We do our little videos here. Check us out if you haven't before. But you're almost 10 years late if you haven't. Shame on you. So we're going to get out of here. This has been another episode of Inside the War Room. For my co-host, Jimmy the Blueprint, B. Austin, the HU legend. I'm the boy, Dev McMillan. Don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in the war against ignorance. We'll see you chumps on top.
Peace.